let's dive into one of history's great paradoxes. We're going to talk about a dynasty that was so short-lived, just 37 years, but somehow it managed to set the stage for a 300-year golden age. This is the amazing and kind of contradictory story of China's Sui Dynasty.
I mean, just look at these numbers. On the surface, they don't really add up, do they? The Sui Dynasty, poof, it's gone in just 37 years. But right after it, the Tang Dynasty comes along and thrives for almost 3 centuries, creating what many consider one of the greatest golden ages in world history. So how on earth does that happen?
And that's the big question we're going to tackle here. How could what looks like a spectacular failure actually be the foundation for something so legendary and successful? It's a fantastic historical puzzle, and we're going to put the pieces together. All right, so to really get the Sui, you first have to picture the world they walked into. And let me tell you, it was a world that had been shattered for a very, very long time. I want you to try and imagine this. For almost 300 years, there was no China as we think of it. The land was just carved up into these rival kingdoms all fighting each other. Borders were always changing, and war was just a normal part of life. It was an era of total division and chaos. And then, out of all this chaos, comes this guy, Emperor Wen. He was this brilliant general, a really shrewd politician, and he did something nobody had been able to do for generations. He conquered all his rivals and finally, in 589 AD, put China back together again. Now, conquering is one thing, but actually governing, that's a whole other ballgame. And this is where you really see Emperor Wen's genius. He wasn't just a warlord, he was a nation builder. He created one central government, one single type of currency, and one set of laws for everybody. He even brought back these civil service exams to make sure he was getting the smartest people to help run the empire, not just the richest. He was literally forging a new nation from scratch.
So, okay, the empire's back in one piece politically, but the Sui emperors? Oh, they were just getting started. They turned to an even bigger job, physically rebuilding the world around them on a scale that nobody had ever seen before.
Probably the best way to think about the Sui is as the foundation layers. They weren't building the fancy penthouse with the great views. No, they were doing the hard, dirty, thankless work of pouring the concrete and laying the steel. All the essential stuff that everything else would eventually be built on top of. And believe me, that work came at a staggering, almost unbelievable human cost. Just look at this number. For just one project, the Grand Canal, historical records say over 5 million people were forced to work on it. Let that sink in. It just gives you a sense of their insane ambition and also the brutality of how they got things done. So why do it? Why build this thing? Well, this wasn't just some canal. It was basically the economic and military superhighway of the new empire. It connected the south, where all the food was grown, with the north, where the capital cities and the armies were. This meant you could get grain to the cities and move soldiers around the empire super fast. It was an absolute work of strategic genius. But here's the thing about that kind of massive ambition. It has a dark side. And the very same drive that made the Sui so great would end up being the very thing that destroyed them. This is the great, tragic irony of the Sui Dynasty. Their relentless push to build, to expand, to conquer, it just never stopped. They pushed the empire, and more importantly, its people, way past the breaking point. At its core, the problem was really just simple math. The dynasty was spending way more money on these giant projects and constant wars than it was bringing in through taxes. The empire was, quite literally, going broke. And it wasn't just the government's bank account that was empty. The people themselves were just broken. You can almost feel the desperation in this warning from one of the emperor's officials. The population was being completely crushed under the weight of endless work and crippling taxes. And when the end came, it came so fast it would make your head spin. A few disastrous military campaigns in Korea were the final straw. These incredibly expensive failures abroad lit the fuse for massive rebellions back home. In just 6 years, the empire went from being this powerful invader to total chaos, ending with the assassination of the emperor himself. So, boom, the Sui Dynasty collapses in a storm of fire and rebellion. It looks like a complete and utter failure, right? Well, not so fast, because this isn't actually the end of the story. It's really the beginning of a new one. This is where it all clicks into place. Just think about everything the next dynasty, the famous Tang, didn't have to do. They didn't have to spend decades unifying China. The Sui already did that. They didn't have to build the Grand Canal. The Sui already did that. They inherited a central government, a unified legal code. Every single piece the Tang used to build their golden age was put in place by the Sui. And that's what it all comes down to. The Sui did the brutal, thankless, and in the end, self-destructive work of laying the foundation. The Tang were the brilliant architects who got to come in and build a magnificent golden age right on top of it. One simply could not have happened without the other.
And that kind of leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? It's so easy for us to look back now and just label the Sui of failure, but their legacy proves that sometimes the most important work isn't the flashy stuff, it's the hard work that prepares the way for others. It really makes you wonder, what projects or ideas today, things that we might be calling failures right now, are actually laying the groundwork for the golden ages of tomorrow?